Hello and welcome to another episode of Building Tech Sales Academy in public. My name is Jameel Raymond. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here as always. And this week, folks, it's a little less public. It's a little more subdued. If you can see behind me here, I'm in the office of the temporary accommodation that I'm staying in right now. Thought it was a great backdrop, a real vibe. So I've set myself up here for the time being, for the next couple of weeks. And I really enjoy it. It's quite a good look. It's it makes me feel wise and educated. Well, I am fairly educated, but, nice furniture with many books of knowledge that smell of rich mahogany, as the great Ron Burgundy once said. Probably you can hear me a bit stuffy this weekend, folks. It's been a rough weekend between just absolutely copping it with hay fever and just spending most of my weekend just stuffing tissues into my nose and rubbing my eyes, and also watching my precious Sydney Swans get decimated in another grand final. Oh my God. We've got some real trouble there in the Swans about the yips and a complete lack of confidence in the big game. It's rough to have lost the last 4 grand finals by an average of 57 points. Brutal stuff. But, stay loyal. We'll get them next year. We've still got plenty of space for the dynasty. Watch this space. We'll be back. What's been happening in the world of Tech Sales Academy this week, or since we last caught up? A little bit. Lots have been moving. So I've added, I think, about 10 or so members in the last week, up to 114 members. Hello to you all, the new ones. Also very excited to say that I have finished all of the marketing for the Account Executives Toolkit. Finally finished that last piece of the sales funnel of this landing page, which was the sales video and explaining the hows and whats of what the Account Executives Toolkit is. I'm probably going to do something very similar to that next week, in next week's episodes. I'll actually just take you behind the scenes of what I've built and why. But it is just really nice to just finally have that sales landing page done, because now I can just it's up and ready for sale now. And I can just start marketing. And now in the last couple of days, I've been thinking about my launch strategy and the kind of content that I'll release to promote it. I'm also thinking about the kinds of ads that I want to release because, I think originally my original strategy is to build organic content to do brand development, which is fine. I will continue to do that, but it'd be remiss of me not to use targeted ads for what I'm doing here, because the Account Executives Toolkit ticks a very specific box. It solves a very specific problem, which is for people like me, 5, 6, 7 years ago, of non-technical people needing the skills and the tools and the resources to be good at technology sales. Because that was my journey as well, is that I started from a guy that had no tech experience, no tech background, no qualifications in tech. Thought I had B2B experience when I started. Turns out that was completely wrong. No account management experience, because where the hell do you get account management experience when you're in your late teens, early 20s? So to take people on the transformation, right? That's another thing that I've really gotten clarity on by speaking to a few customers over the last couple of weeks, is where customers that are attracted to what I do, that resonate with what I'm doing here, what they really are attracted by is the fact that they are non-technical people getting into technology sales, right? So really honing in on that transformation of taking non-technical sellers into trusted technology advisors is really the primary selling point and the primary narrative that I'm trying to, resolve. Or I guess that's the problem I'm trying to solve with the Account Executives Toolkit, and realistically everything that I do here at Tech Sales Academy. But that problem is what skills, what resources do you need to go from a non-technical seller who started at basically zero, like I did, to being a trusted technology advisor, having confidence to be a non-technical person in technology sales and look after customers well and create a great experience. Because realistically, that's where your differentiator is as the people person in tech, is to be a great frontline experience creator and making sure that you own the customer experience whilst your technology people take care of the tech and the stuff that you don't really understand much about. Because realistically, those tech people don't want to do the people stuff that you want to do. Relationship development, pre-sales process, engaging with customers and looking them in the eye, for example. As a lot of non-technical, or a lot of technical people cannot do. Sorry guys. My hay fever has been brutal and I'm, half awake and half conscious at this point. But so that's what's been happening on the academy side. How's my life building going? Since we last caught up, my family and I went back to our family home to clear out all of our stuff to prepare the house for sale. So that was a pretty rough 4 days of getting, throwing 25 years of accumulated crap in the bin, plenty of trips to Goodwill, or the salvos as we call it in Australia, a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of why the hell do we need this stuff? Because to be honest, mum's a bit of a hoarder. Most mums are, I think. And getting convincing my mum to get rid of a lot of things, a lot of trinkets she did not need, is its own battle in itself, as and probably a losing battle for most of us. So I spent 4 days packing up the house. She spent 4 days packing up her room. Yeah, we got it done. We got it done. So the next steps for us now are this week we're looking at a house that we potentially to rent, which will be exciting. So looking at that this Thursday. Got to sell the investment property that we've got at the moment and put that on the market as soon as we can. The primary home will be sold off or put into market in the next 2 weeks. Hopefully we sell that in auction by early November. And yeah, I've still got to look for a job and got a few, and actually I want to take a moment here to thank everyone that has given me messages of support, reached out, provided provided referrals, like the community support that everyone has given me over the last couple of weeks has been heartwarming. I'm so grateful. And I just really just wanted to put that out there, is that your messages, your support, it means a lot. It really means a lot. It is, I'm not saying that I put on a brave face, but I'm very optimistic about where I'm at. But that's not to say I don't feel, a bit alone in this process, because this is a heavy burden for one person to carry on their own. And there's not a lot of people that are really in my situation that I can sort of lean on or sort of get support from, right? But so it's like every message, it's nice to see the community that I'm sort of building here and the people that I'm connecting with over the internet, over the socials, actually resonate and, send a little love back. It's amazing. It really is amazing. And so, yeah, for everyone that has sent off messages of support, very grateful for you. Thank you all so much. It does give me strength. It does warm the heart, and it does certainly help through the journey in the process. So thank you so much. Yeah, that's really where we're at for now. Things are looking up. And yeah, we're just sort of keeping on. Ideally, this all wraps up by about Feb. Not too sure. We'll just keep punching on and find out. Over the last 18 months, it really feels like we've gone from the great resignation and the great reshuffle to the great redundancy in tech sales or in the tech industry. I mean, in my little circle, we've seen 2 rounds of redundancies from Telstra Enterprise, my former employer, even 2 rounds of redundancies at Cisco, my other former employer. There's a big amount of redundancies happening at Verizon over in the US, losing thousands of jobs. Dell has announced its own round of redundancies as well. And basically, Amazon is trying to kill off, and soft redundant a lot of workers by mandating a 5-day back to the office RTO, or return to the office thing, whatever it's called. Basically, I think that's going to just really lose a lot of talent from that business, because realistically, company loyalty is dying because a lot of people are choosing themselves, and we're starting to pull back this facade of company loyalty when we can see time and time again that it is not afforded to us. So as someone that's been made redundant in 2021, I really feel for those that are being affected by these rounds of redundancies. It's a brutal time. It makes you challenge your self-worth. It makes you challenge your utility, especially if you have a family to support. It can put a lot of financial stress, and man, this inflation is killing us all right now, no matter where you're at. So I just wanted to share my story and give you guys some insights into how to make the most of this really tough time, right? So to begin, my story is I got made redundant from Telstra Enterprise in 2021. And I was, at the time, I was a top 1% performer at Telstra. Less than 12 months since I was chosen to be a top 1% leader inside Telstra Enterprise by the senior leadership team. I was on the street, made redundant during the world's longest lockdowns. So I went from being a top 1% performer. I hadn't missed target in 4 or 5 years of selling. My average quota to achievement was like 160-ish%. I was doing stretch projects, or I was coaching other BDMs for free in Miller-Hyman methodology. And I was personally looking after a VIP account of a very powerful and influential Australian business person that wanted to partner with Telstra. So basically, I thought I was a future leader in that business, and I thought it was top shit. And I went from all of that down to being made redundant, and the only person in my team that got made redundant less than 12 months later. It was a long fall from grace, and it was brutal. It was brutal. And for months, I took 6 months off. I didn't look for a job after I got made redundant because my trust in corporations was shattered. Because I'd spent my entire career at Telstra up to that point. I'd made the mistake now, looking back, as defining a large part of my identity in that business. And I just was so, yeah, it just felt so abandoned. And I just really felt like my back was stabbed. And yeah, for months, I had to just sit in isolation because it was during lockdowns in 2021 here in Melbourne. And I had to just sit in wallow for months on my own because I couldn't leave the house, couldn't leave the state, couldn't take some of my payout to go get a fresh breath of air. And that was a really dark period of my time that I called the woods because I was lost. I was genuinely lost in what do I do next? Where can I go? It was the birth of me starting my solo entrepreneurial businesses. The birth and the original concepts of Tech Sales Academy started to properly come to fruition at that time because I was like, fuck this, man. Fuck this and fuck them. I never want to work for another corporation ever again. And you're probably going to feel like that as well. It's like nothing makes you feel more like a number. Nothing makes you feel more than just a disposable rat in the race. And you really just dehumanizes you. It absolutely dehumanizes you. And yeah, literally, this business that I've got today, the content that you see today, all stems from a serious mistrust in corporate interest because you have to realize that businesses and corporations are just these weird, ephemeral beasts in survival mode, right? They are purely there just to hunt and kill in the business world, kill what you eat to survive as an entity. That's what we're all really doing here. Is we've all signed up to be part of this greater force that has to create business and synergies and sales and whatnot just to keep this organization self-fulfilling and create shareholder value, whatever the fuck that means. So you have to recognize that it is impersonal what this is. Right? This is a being that's in survival mode. It has to do what it has to do to survive. And if it does have inefficiencies in its business or the business model has to change for it to subsist, then yeah, it's going to cannibalize a lot of, part of its organization, a lot of good people, perhaps like yourself. And that's just the nature of this business game, right? Is that I think in particular over the last decade plus, we've really seen in society just the falling away of corporate culture. Particularly, I think post-pandemic's really accelerated that as we've realized how much life we can have back when we don't have to commute to work, and how many hours we can get back in our lives, and how much energy we get by not being in the rat race and stuck in a commute, and how much more flexibility we've got in our lives, and we can live much more fulfilling lives with our families and things that we love through flexible work. And I think particularly pandemic, a lot of us are making more lifestyle choices around our career. And if I were to give you just like three pieces of advice, three takeaways from my experience, is that number one, to bounce back, don't take this personally. Don't take this personally. It's just the game. The game has really been exposed here. And the corporate game of, we're a family here. Bullshit, mate, right? We are numbers. We are cogs in the machine. We are rats in the race. And you have to play the game back, and you have to look out for your own best interests in this, right? And you won't make that mistake again, particularly if you've done what I did and made the company your identity. You won't make that mistake again. You realize that this is an exchange of time, right? You are renting out your time and your skills and your resources in exchange for a paycheck. And anything outside those bounds you will not tolerate if it's not in your favor anymore. So, learn from this lesson about choosing yourself and choosing your needs instead of giving yourself over to the company and being a company person. Number two, when it comes to bouncing back, is take this time to take stock on your life and your career and its trajectory. A lot of us are doing jobs that we don't necessarily care for. It pays the bills, we're comfortable, we're good at it. We've got things outside of our lives, outside of the corporate life or work life that we value more, like our families. Maybe this has been put in front of you to start a different direction, like it has for me. Maybe this is an opportunity to, start planting the seeds of your own business, your own path to freedom, a different career change, something that's more aligned to your values, perhaps, right? Take this time to take stock on who you want to be. And, I always say this, setbacks are slingshots to greater things. And my career is testament to that, because literally I went from being made redundant in July 2021 to then being recognized as a top 1% performer 2 years later in my next full sales year at Cisco again in 2023. So, consider this an opportunity. I encourage you to pull yourself out of the dark and not spiral down into negativity, and think about the optimism and the positivity, the silver lining that could be found in this. Is this an opportunity for you to start something new? And a little advice around that is to, go slow. Go slow when you're starting your own thing. I certainly made the mistake of thinking I could just go all in on a business with a previous idea that I had called Aussie Comedy Network, and that didn't pan out well at all. And I ended up having to get a job at Cisco to survive, whilst I was failing quite expensively at starting my own business. And the third thing that I'll say here is that, this is only going to get worse. I'm going to be honest and be quite brutal. I think this is only going to get worse. Is that one of the reasons why I built Tech Sales Academy, is to offset and sort of pull myself out of the risks of AI taking away jobs. Like, this is the first of a lot of businesses going under, a lot of roles being made redundant by artificial intelligence. And realistically, if you are not a value generator in your business, right? I'm a value generator in a business because I generate revenue. I generate sales for the organization. Even I'm being scrutinized, but if you are not a value generator in your business, you are automatically going to be scrutinized for a cheaper and simpler option, and AI is catching up to that, right? So the best thing that you can do to defend yourself or protect yourself against further AI disruption in your career is to reposition yourself into career choices that are harder to be disrupted by AI. Things that are close to the human experience, such as sales, such as nursing, entertainment, content creation, perhaps, and building your own personal brand here. If you need help, getting back on your feet, if you need a little bit of advice, please, my door is always open to you. please DM me, send me a message, send me an email. I've chatted to numerous people already about bouncing back, getting advice. Always here to help you. And please take care of yourself. This is the corporations thinking of themselves right now. It's time for you to think of you. Get yours, get your entitlements, look after yourself, invest in your mental health. And if you need any help, please, I am here anytime. That is it for this week on Building Tech Sales at Academy in Public, folks. Slightly different format. We're going to narrow it down a bit. As always, you can come join me in the free Tech Sales Academy community. Check it out here, school.com/Tech Sales Academy. If you want to have a sneak peek at the Account Executives Toolkit, you can do that now. I'll put a link in the description as well. And yeah, that is it for this week. Thanks for your time and attention as always. And I will see you next week. Ciao for now.